Pat, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, I am. Let's
All
get
right,
going.
let's start at the top, 9K and above. We're going to give you three GPP plays or tournament plays. If you're playing on DFS, we're going to give you a cash game lock. Somebody you should play in 50-50s or double ups. And then we're going to give you a name to fade. Um, I'll start, Pat. I gotta say, I really, really, really like a lot of cheap options in the 7K and 6K range. From a lineup construction standpoint, I am going to probably go heavily on studs and duds, play a lot of guys up here at the top, and then go, have some guys in the lower sevens, sixes, maybe rounding out my lineups. Whereas last week I was actually kind of towards the end of the week, I actually constructed a lot of lineups in the middle range where I think a lot of people went studs and duds. I just missed Sergio. Like I just freaking missed Sergio. I had Doc,
There was
I
a lot of
had
reason to miss him, though. I
yeah,
mean,
there was. Had Grillo, had Cam Davis, had Ventura, had Hoffman, had all those guys. Just didn't have Sergio. Mm. But this week, I really do like the top tier. And with the stronger field, you've got obviously more win equity in the names. I would say from about, and I'm actually going to throw Sergio out of here, but I would say from about Paul Casey up, not $9,200 range. You have a lot more win equity in this event than you did last week. So you're going to need to, make sure you have the winner. They're more than likely going to come out of this tier. So I'll start. I think there's going to be a few chalky names in here. Of course, there always is. I think Scotty Scheffler and Matt Wolff are going to be pretty chalky. If I have to play one, I like both. I don't mind either. So whichever one you want to plant your flag on, but I think I lean Scotty Scheffler at 9,400, checks a ton of boxes. He did play here for the first time last year. Didn't play great. I'm not too concerned. Had a decent weekend. Fought hard on Friday last week at the Sanderson Farms to make the cut. Ended up finishing T37. His first event back after the COVID, the old Corvid. I'm not too concerned about. He had kind of a pretty abysmal, rusty tournament in terms of his iron play at the Sanderson. That doesn't typically happen for Scotty. So I see that as an outlier. I don't think that continues for him. Uh, and he arrives at a putting surface, unlike last week, that he actually putts pretty well. I mean, I say pretty well for him. He's always going to lose strokes on the putting surfaces, is what we've seen so far in his short PGA Tour career. But he does putt bent grass surfaces better than Bermuda, which is what we saw last week. So I think Scotty Scheffler for me and that value and that win equity is as good as it gets. I like him a ton. It's really tough going above that. Like, I mean, a little honestly, if I'm on, I like English. I like Morikawa. I like Finau. I like Webb. I don't mind playing Bryson. I think I'm gonna go with Webb as my second tournament play at 11K. Um, Obviously, Webb's been playing fantastic. He's got a great record here. He's one of those players that can overcome lack of distance, but he's not like he's super short anyway. He gains strokes putting on every putting surface. He's better on Bermuda, but here at Bent, it's not like he's terrible. He's checking all the boxes that I mentioned earlier in terms of stats. I'm going to play Webb at 11,000. I think he has a chance to go a little bit under owned, sandwiched in between people playing Bryson and Cantley. My third tournament play in this range is so hard. I think it's between Morikawa and English, and I think I'll lean English from the putting standpoint. I love him here on bent grass greens. He loves bent grass greens. He's got a solid record here at the Shriners. I do think if you look at Data Golf tends to they predict which golf tournaments, which golf courses tend to lean more into course history being a thing. And this is one of those courses where course history tends to matter a little bit. So I'm going to go with Harris English instead of Morikawa here. Checks the box in greens and regulation, hitting fairways, opportunities gained, hits that box, strokes gained approach, kind of middle of the field. We last saw him at the U.S. Open finishing fourth, whereas we saw Morikawa missing the cut. So I just think from a floor standpoint, English I like a little bit more. And then my cash play is Scotty Scheffler. I think he's a lock at that price. Scotty Scheffler for cash is a lock. My fade, my fade is going to be the guy who's won this tournament and had two runner-ups, and that's Patrick Cantlay at
wow, bold,
10,400. I'm
bold.
going to plant my flag, a bold flag on fading Patrick Cantlay. It's tough, right? I think he's going to be pretty popular at only 10-4. You could make a case for him being up there with Webb, or maybe even price more than Webb, given the tremendous record here. DraftKings does tend to weigh course history pretty good, but he's not. If you look over the last 24 rounds, he's 48th in the field in approach, strokes gained approach, 90th in fairways gained, and 95th in opportunities gained over the last 24 rounds, which includes really only one decent finish, and that's a 12 at the BMW. And he putted the eyes out of it. He gained 3 strokes. He lost 5 on approach that week. So I just think, we haven't seen a great Patrick Cantlay. U.S. Open 43rd, Northern Trust miscut, PGA 43rd, WGC 35th. Like, it hasn't been fantastic. He hasn't been top 10 in it. So I think I'm going to take my chances. I think he'll be popular. I'm going to fade what I think is going to be chalky Cantlay. That's my 9K range.
Yeah, I do think he is going to be very chalky. I don't have him as a fade, but I mean, I get it. That's a bold call with a first and 2 seconds here, and almost 2 wins here. But for a guy that doesn't have a ton of wins on tour, it's pretty good. But okay. I'll start at the top. I like Webb and GPPs. I know I'm going to be eating a little bit of a chalk there, but I am perfectly fine with him for all the reasons that you mentioned. I mean, the guy's he's in good form, top 10 at the U.S. Open, checks all the boxes here. I think he makes for a great play. And I'm with you as well as far as strategy this week. I think you can definitely have a little bit more of a studs and duds type approach, especially in tournaments. So I will play Webb Simpson. I am on Kyler Morikawa in GPPs at 9,800. I like him this week.
Don't hate it.
Look, I mean, the guy's just a stud. He played here last year, finished 42nd. We know he makes a ton of cuts, and that's not great for him, obviously. And you don't want a 42nd from him this week with his price. But, I mean, he's 13th in ball striking, 23rd in approach. He's 3rd in the field in driving accuracy, 14th off the tee, 25th in that opportunities gain stat you mentioned. He checks the box in birdie or better percentage. So I think across the board, this is really a course that Morikawa could play well on and could easily win on. So I like him in GPPs, and I also like him as my cash play at 9,800. So I will play him in cash as well.
Okay.
You mentioned Matthew Wolff. I am on him in GPPs, and maybe that's going to be chalky. I kind of didn't think he would be as chalky as maybe you think he is. I mean, I know he's in good form and all that kind of stuff, and he does check a lot of boxes. But there's so many guys in here that you really are going to have to kind of choose from that I just wonder, what that looks like. Hideki's right there. I can't.
Oh, people will be way more on.
I believe you did not mention Hideki. I thought for sure the listeners thought for sure you were going to mention Hideki, but you didn't do it.
I don't pick it. I pick my spots with Hideki. I'm not constantly on Hideki. People think that I'm not. But I will say over the last few weeks since the restart, it's paid off. So quit your pissing and moaning.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't hate Hideki here. I really don't.
For me, the fade this week is Jason Day. I'm not sure
you love Jason Day.
Yeah, and I do love it. Like scrambling wise, that he definitely checks the box. Bent grass putting, he's like in the top 10 in the field. But outside of that, everything else isn't really all that great when you look at Jason Day. I mean, he's 81st in ball striking, 93rd in strokes gained approach, 103rd in the field in driving accuracy, 70th in opportunities gained. So I just don't know about paying $9,500 for Day. It's probably a decent price. It's probably what he should be priced. But I'm going to fade him this week. I'm not a fan. And so, I love playing some Jason Day, but he will be a fade for me this week. So GPPs, Webb, Morikawa, and Matthew Wolff. Cash, Morikawa. Fade will be Jason Day.
Yeah, and I don't mind that fade either. I think above, like from Sung Jae up, really the only 2 players that I just don't feel great about at all, or that I think are the easiest 2 to make a case to fade would be Cantlay and Day. So I think we nailed that in terms of what I was thinking anyway. And I think that probably means that from Sung Jae, Paul Casey, Sergio, Fowler, those are going to be your lower owned plays in this range. So,
I agree.
maybe we dig deep into those by Wednesday night or so, and see if there's some reasons to make a case. And there probably are. Like these guys
I
are all
think you're
really
right.
good. So it is what it is. You just got to plant your flag. I do think that with those big names from Sung Jae up, you're not going to have anybody who's like 28% owned or 30% owned. We had that last week. We had and I think maybe the week before, you had like four guys who were eating up
Yeah, ton
22,
of ownership.
24%, yeah, plus ownership. So I don't think that's going to be the case here, which means, feel free to plant your flag on a couple of the names up here and then get your leverage somewhere else. So I think that's very doable. Let's get into the 8K range. This is a really straightforward range for me, actually. Normally, it's a tough decision for me, but I actually came to I came to these decisions very quickly. For me, in terms of tournament plays, I'm going to give you two tournament or GPP plays, a cash play, and a fade. I'm getting back on Louis Oosthuizen. He withdrew a couple of weeks ago. I hated that, but I want to play him. He's playing so well right now. His form is very, very strong right now. I love the way Louis playing. He's checking all the boxes. Give me Louis, and he's never super chalky at all. But he's got winning upside. I don't know, and he's playing great. So give me Louis. Checks a lot of boxes. I'll take it. And then give me Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin Niemann is a guy that I don't normally play for tournaments, but I could see Joaquin being like sub 10% here in the 8K range. And I think he gives you some win equity. He gives you some top 10 equity. In his PGA Tour career, his best putting surface is bent grass. Does have a top 10 here and a miscut, whatever. Checks the box in approach, screens and regulation, distance. And I think it's a good value for Joaquin. And I think he's playing very confident too. I mean, third at Olympia Fields for the BMW, made it to the Tour Championship, didn't play well at East Lake. Then he goes to the US Open, finishes 23rd there. Now, he did gain a butt ton of strokes putting at the US Open, which scares me a little bit. But I still think this is a good spot for Joaquin Niemann. He's taken advantage of the fall swing before. I think this is a nice spot for him, and I think he's going to give you some tournament leverage for sure. And you know who my cash play is. There's no doubt who my cash play is. I will ride Cameron Davis
Cameron
all the way.
Davis. Yeah.
Last week I was all over him. I said there were like three names that I might consider over him. Well, he finished better than all three of those names. Had him as an outright. He was tied for the lead going into Sunday. Totally crapped the bet on Sunday. But now he leaves Bermuda, which is his worst putting surface, and arrives at his best putting surface over his PGA Tour career, which is bent grass. He gained strokes in every single strokes gain category last week. He's a ball striking stud. Can easily take advantage of these 3 par 5s. He gives you a tremendously high floor, I think. And I think the dude is ready to win. I mean, it's not like he really put himself into the mix on Sunday because he kind of fell off quickly. But he slept on an overnight lead, and he felt it. He was in the final group, and he watched Sergio take that tournament last week. I think it's a great learning experience for a young guy like Cameron, and the ball striking is incredible. If he's chalk, I don't care. I will pair him with someone else and eat it. So Cam Davis is my guy. My fade is going to be a guy who I was like so sick. I already referenced him earlier. I was so sick of watching his little ass play well last week. I'm like, fall off the world. And that is Keegan Bradley. He came out and had a great first round. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You can't have a full Keegan unless he does really well day one. A full Keegan meaning, shoot like a 64 day one and like an 80 day two, right? You can't have that unless so then I'm expecting it on day two. And what do I get? Not that. And then he ends up finishing 4th. Give me a break. He gained 3 strokes putting. 3. Do you know how ridiculous that is for Keegan Bradley? He doesn't do it often. Last time he did do it at the Charles Schwab, the first event back. Somehow, by God's grace, he came out of quarantine and gained 3.7 strokes with the putter. That is ridiculous. He does that about 2 or 3 times a year. That's it. He's a terrible putter, a historically terrible putter. That's not happening again. Regression is on the way for Keegan Bradley. A pretty mixed bag here at the Shriners, a miscut, a 70th, and a 7th place finish. Fade Keegan Bradley. I can't stand him. Not at 8,000. Like 6,800 Keegan Bradley. Ball striking kind of contest, sure, but not 8,000. That's the 8K range for me.
Okay, well, we did not mention anybody that was the same player in this range, which is good. Last week we had a lot of that, a lot of agreement, and so I'm going to start with my first GPP play, and I'm going to start at the bottom at 8,000. Brian Harman. I like Brian Harman this week. Look, checks the box and driving accuracy.
Why do people get on Brian Harman? I don't understand. Little cockbite. Remember his nickname in college? Cockbite.
Well, I mean, look at the stats for him. I mean, around the green, top 15
it's not
in the
good.
field.
I don't know what stats you're looking at.
Checks the box and driving accuracy, opportunities gained. He's in the top third in the field there. Birdie percentage.
Sucks in distance, sucks in greens and regulation.
I don't care about the distance I mentioned earlier.
His history here is like bleh. Like he makes cuts, but like whatever.
He's 8,000. He finished top 15 here in 2017 and top 20 last year. That's not terrible. What are you talking about? That's a terrible
pick. I hate that pick. I hate little cockbite, little Napoleon.
Okay, well,
go Dogs though. Go Dogs.
He is in pretty good form, and so I like some Brian Harman at 8,000. I will play him in tournaments. Going up above that, I like Zach Johnson at 8,500. Another guy coming in sneaky good form. He was T20.
Yeah, just team.
Can I talk? Can you just not comment for a minute?
Just team can't hit it far.
Okay, well, if you could just shut up for a second. I didn't do that while you were giving your picks. But anyway, Zach Johnson at 8,500. Last week was T23, top 10 at the U.S. Open. You look at his stats. He putts extremely well on bent grass greens. He is, top 10 in the field there. And then overall, I mean, fourth in approach over his last 24 rounds, 28th in ball striking, 14th in opportunities gained, a stat you mentioned that you like. He's top 15 in the field there. He's 26 in birdie or better percentage, another scoring stat that checks the box. So I think Zach Johnson makes a good amount of sense. And you know what? Nobody's going to take him. He's going to be low owned in your tournament play. So if you want to gain some leverage, definitely take some Zach Johnson. I like him as well. My fade, before I give you my cash play, is going to be Jason Kokrak at 8,900. I just can't pay 8,900 in this field for Jason Kokrak. I do know he has played well recently.
But you're going to pay 85 for Zach Johnson? Are you freaking mental?
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Yeah. Jason Kokrak is terrible putting on bent grass green. He's barely in the top 100 in the field. Terrible with his driving accuracy. I know he's got the length that you love and you just fall for every time. But
I do like him long. You know what I mean? It's familiar to me. I like familiarity. I get it. You like something you're familiar with, so you go with you go with tiny things. I get it.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, Kokrak is and his form here is, if you look at it, yes, he has made like his last 5 cuts.
God,
but that includes
this range for you.
A T38, a 74th, a T20 in 2018. I'll give him that.
Did your wife come up with these picks?
And a T63rd at last year. So he's played here like 5 years in a row.
So you're ignoring the fact that he's 32nd in strokes gained approach, 8th in greens and regulation, 18th in opportunities gained, 11th in distance. Like, you're just going to ignore all that.
Oh, he certainly checked. You ignore things all the time.
This is a presidential debate. You're just leaving out critical facts.
You ignore things all the time.
What do I ignore all the time? All the time. That is the dumbest statement. You ignore things all the time.
You do.
Well, you're a duty head. I mean, what are you talking about? We need a bet. I feel like this is a bet.
Okay, how about this? Neiman.
If I gave you a bad pick, you would have somebody.
Neiman, by the way, I like Neiman. By the way, this from a betting standpoint this week, I think he's going to be higher owned than you think. I don't think you're gaining a whole lot of leverage at 8,100 with Neiman. He can't hit a fairway. He's 125th in the field in strokes gained around the green. He's okay in opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage, but not really much better than Brian Harman is.
I know you don't want to bet me on projecting ownership. It's like we may as well just have you lose the bet now. What do you want me to bet on? Neiman versus who or something? What do you want me to do?
No, I'm not trying to say that there's a bet. I'm just proving a point here that you ignore certain facts too. You can't. You cannot look at these players 1 through 44 and say you don't ignore stats at some point. And there's some guys you just have a feeling about that aren't going to check every single box. You can't sit there and tell me that all your picks
100%.
check
Yeah, you're
every
right.
single box, and there's never going to be something that you ignore with that player. You can never tell me that.
Yeah, and I have never told you that. Duh.
You just said you're ignoring the facts and you're leaving these out. That makes no that
you're ignoring a bountiful amount of facts. Like I mean, yes, okay, I'm willing to overlook that Joaquin Niemann does not hit a lot of fairways, but I like since when on the PGA Tour do you have to hit a lot of fairway? You didn't have to hit a lot of fairways of Winged Foot. Give me a freaking break. This isn't Winged Foot. Like so, it kind of depends on what the stats are that you're ignoring. And to me,
because
a guy like Niemann,
believe,
who checks every other box other than fairways.
Unlike you, I believe that hitting
he
fairways
loves avocados. He has a
week.
smoking hot girlfriend. I mean, like what?
I believe
Zach Johnson literally does one thing well. Okay, Zach Johnson putts well, does not or hits it accurately. He doesn't have a smoking hot girlfriend. He doesn't hit it far.
If you look at the top 10 over the last few years, driving accuracy has been a key factor in their play.
Cool.
Well, go look it up. I did. I mean, you can go look it up.
Driving accuracy is overrated. You'll see that when the member guest starts on Friday. I'll show you.
Okay. There is something to be said for being accurate off the tee. When you are hitting the ball out of the fairway onto the green, you have a better chance of attacking a hole and doing the things like having good opportunities gain stats, having good scoring stats, which you're going to have this week, than you do when you're hitting out of the rough. That's just there. That's science. Okay. Jesus.
All right, Bill Nye. Well, let me know when you're ready to make a bet because I would put a lot of people against ZJ and Harmon. I mean, or I will take Kokrak on something. Like I literally hate every pick you just said. All right, why don't you start the 7K?
I hate a lot of your picks, but I'm like not that passionate about telling you how much I hate them. Oh my God, you're already pissing me off.
Maybe you should let him hang.
We haven't even got to the first tee. We haven't even got to the first tee of the member guest, and you're already pissing me off. Here's the thing, by the way. Let's go to we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, give me your 7K range.
Okay, 7K range. I'm gonna start.
This should be good.
Okay, I'm gonna start with last week's chalk bomb, and that's Denny McCarthy. First off, I hated last week's chalk bomb. I said this in the chat. Everybody said, "Do you like?" We don't, by the way, always agree with chalk bomb.
There's the fade column. Can you see it?
Yeah, nice. Look, I look good. Fine.
The one name I wrote in all the players in the 7K range, my fade is Denny McCarthy.
Okay. Well.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun nut hut this weekend.
Checking the box and ball striking,
whatever day
14th in approach, 7th in fairways gained, 36 in opportunities gained. He's 5th in the field in birdie or better percentage. He was the chalk bomb last week, and that didn't turn out so well because what happened? He was. Hey,
that was all Ben's doing. I didn't do that.
He was 6th last week. Has been in good recent form. Outside of the miscut at the Safeway. I'll give you that. Has fantastic tournament history here. When you look at his last 2 years, he was top 15 in 2019, top 10 in 2018. And they put 2020 for last year, even though it was in 2019. It drives me crazy. Anyway, he was top 10 last year. I like Denny McCarthy at 7,700. I think he's a good play.
While we're on him, I have to combat this. But go ahead. Are you done?
Oh, he's 4th, by the way, in putting on bent grass greens in this field. So I'll throw that one out too.
Okay. Last week, Denny McCarthy gained 5.5 shots tee to green. I have a newsflash for you, people. Denny McCarthy does not do that very often. In fact, that was only the second time in his entire PGA Tour record of 72 strokes gained events measured. 72. That was the second time he's done that. Second time. Does that sound repeatable to anyone? Does that sound like, oh, Oh, Denny McCarthy gained 5.5 strokes on his way to his T6th finish. Does that sound like it's something that he's going to do again? No. Nay, I would argue. Nay. Pat brings up his 9th place finish last year at the Shriners. Well, guess what he did last year on the way to that 9th place finish? He gained 9 shots putting. Now, Denny McCarthy is a fantastic putter. I
He's a
will give
good
you
putter.
that.
I just pointed
He's a
out he's fourth in the field in
very
putting
good
on
putter. You did point that out. Very good putter. 9 shots is even for little Denny is quite the feat. I feel like Ben was getting into something last week, but Denny kept the train on the tracks, kept doing his thing. Now he enters a much stronger field. His price, 7,700, isn't terrible. I'll give you that. Like, it's not awful. I'd rather have him over Brian Harmon, honestly. But I think he's a bold fade. You can tell on this show I'm planting my flag with some bold fades. Patrick Cantley, your course horse, Keegan Bradley coming off a T4, and now Denny McCarthy coming off a 9th place finish. I think he's a bold fade in this range. I don't see gaining 5.5 strokes continuing to happen. And the putter can't be, it's going to be good for Denny. He's going to be positive, but it's not likely to be as high as it has been. So,
all right,
continue with the rest of your
picks. I get going here? You're literally like the threesome that is behind you on the first tee that hijacks the tee.
Oh, wait, when you said threesome behind you, I was like, whoa.
This is what happens. You get the threesome behind you that's on the – they're saying, all right, hey, guys, we just have 3, and can we just go ahead and tee off in front of you? So you just hijack the tee, and then you go on. And then guess what happens? 100% of the time, the fourth comes driving down the fairway.
That's you showing up late. Or no, because you left your club 3 holes ago and you had to go back and find it. That's you. You're the fourth. Are you the fourth in this story? I think you're the fourth in this story.
No.
Yeah, you're the one. You left your pitching wedge like 3 holes ago.
I tee off on time. I may show up on the tee, but I always tee off on time.
But you show up on the tee.
You're literally like the hijacker of tee boxes. That's what you are. Like, I was doing the 7,000 range, and you just went in there and went into some huge thing that nobody really.
Well, you said the name, and so it didn't make any sense to come back to it.
Yeah,
you might as well just duke it out right there.
When you got to your fade, you could have done that. Anyway. Where was I? I'll also take as a GPP play. I like Mr. James Hahn at 7,000. Oh. Another guy who is in some pretty decent form when you look at it over the last couple weeks. I mean, the guy has he's not a name that you just sit there and love to play, but his last 2 tournaments at the Safeway and at Punta Cana, he's finished top 10 in both of those events. You look at his tournament history here. He's made the cut the last 4 years with the T15 back in 2017. I think James Hahn makes a lot of sense in your tournament lineups this week. And from a stat standpoint, I mean, checks the box around the green, off the tee, driving accuracy. I mean, I think he's a good play. I like him at 7,000. So he is another guy that I will plant my flag on, as you have said a billion times in this podcast. The next guy that I will go with is Mr. Christopher Ventura at 7,100. Yeah. We saw him play fantastic last week. You had an outright bet on him. I will go with him once again. I'm riding the hot hand. I think you can do this. There's another guy I'll mention in the 6K range that I think you should also ride the hot hand with. And Ventura definitely checks the box. Top 10 off the tee, 12th in birdie or better percentage. He's top 40 in the field in ball striking. He actually did play this tournament last year. He missed the cut, by the way, 2 years before that, but he top 20 last year with a T18 finish. So I like Mr. Ventura there at 7,100. He will be another tournament play for me. Cash play is a guy that I faded last week, and it faded him. It was a very ill-advised fade, just like Sergio Garcia was, which we all couldn't see coming. But this one is a guy who has been playing really well, and that is I'm playing in cash Sebastian Munoz at 7,900. I don't think you can fade him. The guy has just been fantastic. I shouldn't have faded him last week. He proved me wrong. You look at everything from form to the stats, all of that. I mean, I think he's just a plug and play type guy that you can put in cash lineup. So I will play him in cash. My fade is Cam Smith. I don't like Cam Smith at 7,800. I don't know. I think he could end up being like a relatively like a good, maybe low end play. And he does have good history here with top 15s in his last 2 starts. But you just look at the stats. For one, everybody talks about him being a great scrambler. Well, I mean, he's like 42nd in the field in that category. He's 108th in strokes gained off the tee.
Historically, he's a good scrambler.
Yeah. 121st in driving accuracy. Doesn't check the scoring stats for me or ball striking. So I don't like Cam Smith at 7,800. He will be my fade in this category. So there you go. Rip all you want. You did Denny McCarthy.
Okay. We found a little bit.
While you do that, I got to get a quick refill. So
all right, we found a little bit of the same thing, mojo going on. I actually had Hahn and Ventura as potential names. I did kind of like Ventura. I definitely like Ventura is going to be chalk. He's going to be 12 to 15% owned. It's $7,100. That's super cheap for him. I even honestly think you could play him in cash. This is crazy. Like last year, before the season started, I thought Ventura was going to have the rookie year that like a Scotty Scheffler had, and he just didn't. He did not have it. But I guess, he's a late bloomer, right? He's a late bloomer. Pubes came in, one summer after most of the guys for Ventura, and here he is. He's playing well. He's getting some momentum. Going into Sunday this past week, I had Davis tied for the lead written up in the betting card at 50 or 60 to 1. Had Hoffman like 3 shots back at 70 to 1, and Ventura 2 shots back at 75 to 1. They all 3 crapped the bed. I think you learn a little bit, and I love the value of Ventura at 7,100. Hard to pass that up. So I'll try to give you a few names. Now, the first one I'm going to give you, I think, is also going to be pretty popular, but $7,000 is too good, too cheap to pass up on Luke List. The inconsistency in the recent form, I don't like, okay? He shouldn't have missed a cut last week. He sucked with his irons. Normally, he does not. Even despite the poor 2 rounds last week, over the last 24, he's 37th in this field in approach, 12th in greens and regulation, 7th in opportunities gained. He's one of the longest hitters in this field, and he's got a pretty decent record here at the Shriners with no missed cuts and 3 top 20s. I think Luke List at 7K is a tremendous value, and although maybe a little popular, I think he's still worth a play. Now, I think I'm going to give you a little bit of ownership leverage on this next guy, and I'm probably going to have to sell you on him. And that is Adam Hadwin, 7,100. Now, he's a short knocker I'm getting behind, but he's only $7,100. So I get a lot of salary relief, and he's going to be super low owned. Great putter, good on bent. In his last 4 attempts at the Shriners, a T4, a 27th, a miscut, and a 10th. Now, you may look at his recent form and go, ugh, recent form is not that great. All right, well, let's take a look at the golf courses that we're talking about. Here are his recent results. U.S. Open, Winged Foot, remember it? Tough. 54th. BMW, Olympia Fields, remember it? Freaking tough. T40. Northern Trust, that's a FedEx Cup event. Incredible field. He missed the cut. Oh, well. PGA, Harding Park, pretty tough. 58th. WGC, St. Jude, not a super tough course, but it's a WGC event. He finished basically DFL. But listen, he's playing tough events, and his finishes aren't great. And I think that's throwing a lot of people off. And I also think it's making the stats look pretty weak for him. He doesn't check a lot of boxes. He's a fairway finding, putting Canadian. Okay, but I think there's some leverage there, and I think there's some upside because he likes this place. He likes Vegas. He's a family man. He's like freaking Peter Malnati, but the Canadian version. So he's not going to be out running around, getting hitched to some hoe that he met on the street by accident and then forgetting it the next day. And he's standing on like number 4 and remembers he just got married the night before. He's not going to be doing all that. You're not going to have that. So I think that's a benefit. So I'm going to go Hadwin, Luke List. Yeah, and then I'm going to go back to the well. I can't stop Siwoo Kimming right now. I can't stop it. The Siwoo Kimming is all over me. He's at 7,500. People continue to not really play him that much, but he continues to make cuts, grind it out, give you some winning upside if he could ever put it all together, for crying out loud. Bent is now his best putting surface. It is his best putting surface. It's the only putting surface over his entire career that he's actually gained strokes on, is bent grass.
I would
He
have
checks
never thought
boxes.
that for Siwoo.
I know, you wouldn't have. He's never missed a cut at the Shriners with a 15th and a 25th that are his best finishes. T37 at the Sanderson, whatever. Who cares? It's a birdie fest. Siwoo likes birdies. Siwoo likey the birdies, okay? Go with Siwoo. Those are my guys. I think you can play Luke List in cash at 7,000. Despite the up and down recent form, I think you could play Luke List in cash. He'll be my cash play. There you go. That was an incredible job by me, if I do say so myself.
Can you give me a quick rundown on what you just picked?
I actually very much agreed with you on Ventura, and I also like James Hahn, had him written down. But officially, my tournament plays were List, Adam Hadwin, and Siwoo Kim. List and cash. McCarthy is my fade.
Okay.
Why don't you go in the 6K, and I'm gonna go get another beer because I'm about to get my throat's feeling better because I'm drinking these Wild Leap ETAs, and I need another one. Okay, Pumpkin.
I'll start with that. I will start here in the 6K range with my first Jeep. Well, they're all GPP plays, but I'm going to start with Mr. Scott Stallings at 6,800. I like him a lot this week. You look at the stats here. He is 33rd in the field in ball striking, 11th in strokes gained approach. He's 19th in opportunities gained. He's 20th in birdie or better percentage. So I think Stallings is a good guy that offers you a ton of upside, who actually could even win. Like, he could be the type guy that comes out of nowhere. I believe he is, I wrote it down, he's 150-1 on PointsBet. Pretty long number there, but for a guy that I do think has a little tiny bit of win equity, I love that one. That's a good one too, by the way, DB, that beer you got there. And he's played pretty well here. I mean, he's made the cut the last 4 out of 5 years, with the T16 being his best finish back in 2016. So Scott Stallings at 6,800. I like him this week. I'm going back on a guy that burned me last week, and I know you're going to hate this play, and I don't care. We can argue about this one too if you want to tonight. But I'm going back to Chesson Hadley at 6,700. I like him this week. You look at his history here. It's fantastic. I mean, top 20 last year, T7 in 2018, T4 in 2016 or 2017. So he's played extremely well the last few times he's played at this event. And then you look at his stats. I mean, across the board for a guy in the 6K range, it's really not all that bad. 50th in the approach, top 50 in ball striking, checks the box in opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage. Driving accuracy and off the tee is not too bad for a guy in this range. So even though I took him last week and he didn't come through for me because he was showing a little bit of form. He did miss the cut last week after a T51 at the U.S. Open and a T15 at the Safeway, or T14 at the Safeway Open. I like Chesson Hadley at 6,700. I think he is certainly going to be low owned and could be a good tournament play. And then I'm back on a guy that I don't understand, like, what he has to do to get a price increase, and I'm fine with where he is. Keep him where he is. But Tyler McCumber at 6,500. Yeah. I mean, all he's done is finish second. And then what was he last week? Sixth last week. In his last 2 events, we know he's got plenty of distance off the tee. We know he's a great scorer. I mean, he is, I think it's just another good week to play him, and we didn't even get that much of an increase in his price based off of his form. So I will play a lot of McCumber here in this range. I like him a lot. Checks the box also in approach and ball striking. So at 6,500, he will be my third GPP play. So there you go. Stallings, Hadley, and McCumber are my 3 GPP plays in the 6K and under range.
I think one of the reasons I'm fired up, man, is I've had a good time. The Nut Hut got a major upgrade today. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Nut Hut has moved to Discord. The Discord app chat service. And I had a lot of fun. I was already on there today, mixing it up with other nut hutters, talking a little bit of golf and having a good time. And I think that is kind of I started drinking some beers a little early, and I think that's why I'm kind of like this. So, but anyway, the Nut Hut. If you are a current Nut Hut member, you need to check your email. We have sent you instructions on how to access the new Discord private chat server. If you already have a Discord account, you can simply use that existing Discord account. If not, you'll need to set one of those up as well. But yeah, if you're not a Nut Hut member, I don't know what you're doing. Even during during this like down fall season where everybody cares about is the NFL, right? Well, screw that. Okay. We have Nut Hut members who have won nearly $3 million since the restart in June playing golf. Okay. We've got a ton of sharp members, even outside of actually just not including me and Pat, because we're not that sharp, but a ton of sharp members that are giving great data, great information in the Nut Hut 24/7. You can have access to it. And now that it's on Discord, it is even smoother, easier, more functionality. It's going to be fantastic. We're having a great time in there already today. Thank you to everybody who's already gotten in there and gotten started with the Discord app. It's a lot of fun. Go to tourjunkies.com. Click on Nut Hut. You'll have to register there to sign up. You won't be able to sign up straight from Discord. So you have to go to tourjunkies.com, Golby's Nut Hut. Go ahead and register. It's $10 a month. That's it. $10 a month, not $10 a week, $10 a month or $90 for the entire year, the entire PGA Tour season, 50 events that you will get chat access to me and Pat and to Ben, to other sharp Nut Hut members. You get a great community. You get 20% off anything that you ever buy on the Tour Junkies store, as long as you're a member. We bring you the inside caddy information that we get every single week. Some of that is good. Some of that is not. What else do you get? You get all kind of stuff. You get first access to any Tour Junkies events that we're going to do, which hopefully those come back in 2021. You get extra bonus codes and extra percentages off certain deals we make with sponsors, with advertisers. It's a great thing. You need to do it. But I had a great time in Discord today, and I think maybe that's why I'm already 3 sheets right now.
I had a good time too when I finally got in.
Yeah, I saw that. Good for you.
Okay, let's hear your 6K range.
I actually had written down McCumber. There's a handful of names in here I like. I mean, Schenk is the easy one if you start at the top. Like, he's just playing really good. He's solid. He plays well at this course. I think Schenk is about as a slam dunk as it gets. I love me some Gooch, man. I love when the Gooch is loose, and I think he's loose right now. He's playing well. He checks a lot of boxes here, actually. He's got a 16th place finish here, his first attempt out. Gooch has a lot of upside, I think, that a lot of these other names may not necessarily have. I think he has more upside than a guy like Chesson Hadley. I don't mind the Chesson Hadley play, actually, believe it or not. How about Francesco Molinari? We didn't even mention him. He's coming back, making his first appearance since the WGC Mexico. Has now taken up permanent residence in California and making his first start back since the restart, since old Corvid. So welcome back, Francesco. I'm not going to play you, but welcome back. I think it's too early to jump ship on $6,600 Xinjun Zhang. We've been talking about him the last couple of events. Finished 14th at the Safeway 2 weeks ago, 11th at the Corrales. Missed the cut last week, so not great there. But this is a guy who's played this event twice with the 16th place finish last year. I think Xinjun is, he's not the most consistent thing in the world, but damn, when the dude makes cuts, I mean, since the restart, this is what he's done. Miscut, 10th place, 12th place, miscut, 14th place, 11th place, miscut. So he literally misses the cut or he finishes top 15. Like, what more do you want for a guy who's $6,600 in terms of a tournament play? He's got a ton of upside. So I think Xinjun is great. Sepp Straka, let's get back on Sepp. He actually putts way better on bent grass in the sample size he's got since turning pro. His freaking bent grass numbers are light years better than Bermuda and Poa. And we know he's a good ball striker. He bombs it. Opportunities gained, checks the box. Why not a little Sepp Straka? And then if I'm going to go like, I don't know, if I'm going to go like super low, I think old Justin Suh. Where's he at? He's a 6,200 college standout, 14th place finish a couple weeks ago at Corrales. I think Justin Suh may be the cheapest play I'd go. So there you have it, Pat. Boy, I am feeling
A lot of good
right
conversation there in that, and disagreement and agreement in the Shriners. It's okay. I'm okay with that. It's fun.
now. Okay. Oh, man. Boy, by the time we get to the member guest stuff and the Tour Junkies After Dark DraftKings YouTube show that we do, I'm going to be full on face numb. Beer drunk.
So you had a few, so you must have had a few before the show.
I had two before the show.
Yeah, those are they got some potency. Is
Yeah.
that a word?
Yeah.
They're quite potent.
I'm pretty sure.